back to the Wine Crush. I'm Laura Lawson, your favorite Chardonnay sipping diva, and we are working on smashing all those wine legends and urban myths that surround the grape. And we have a little help today. Right now we have Richard Haake, and he is the founder and chief of ChefWineryChefs.com. Richard has fortunately been on the show several times back when he did his tenure with Mondavi, so he knows that I tend to get tongue-tied and will forgive me for introducing his website like that. Richard, welcome back to the Wine Crush.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back.
It is fun to have you back. You were one of my favorite people to torment way back when.
I appreciate those kind words. It wasn't that long ago, just a year.
Is that it? I thought I had been rid of you for 10 years or more, I swear.
Well, I think a year ago we got started on this program, so I'm glad things are going well.
Well, thank you very much. We are definitely past our year anniversary, and it looks like things are going very, very well for you. Tell us about winerychefs.com.
Well, winerychefs.com is a website that supports my business, and I have taken my expertise of being the winery chef at Robert Mondavi Winery as well as Cake Bread Cellars, and have packaged up all that experience, and I provide information on my website. But more than that, I'm selling my talents and expertise to the wineries here in Napa Valley right now. And I go in and provide them all the services of a full-time winery chef at a fraction of the cost.
I like that. And, of course, everyone loves to hear fraction of the cost this time of year.
I am the big-time economic solution for folks that are cutting back on their culinary programs. They can bring me in on a limited basis, and I can create the same wine and food pairings and experiences that they were getting out of their full-time culinary department.
Well, you are definitely the man with the answers, which is why you're going to be fun on today's show. Today we are kind of talking about wine myths and urban legends, so we had to have a chef come and talk to us. I think everyone who's been in the wine business who has tried to pair food and wine know that there's a myth that eggs and asparagus cannot be paired with any kind of wine. Is this truth or fiction?
It's fiction. There's always a wine that you can pair with any type of food that may be part of that wine urban myth.
Where do you think that got started? Why do people say that all the time?
I think there was about 30, 40 years ago when the American wine culture was starting, we were laying out certain ground rules, some basic rules, and almost intimidating the consumer to have white wine with fish and red wine with meats and avoid these certain food items so you don't have a bad reaction. And there weren't a lot of chefs here in America that had a good experience with creating wine and food pairings, and the American consumer was just being educated on wines for the first time, so you scare the hell out of them and they avoid it.
Well, I certainly use that as a motto. So the whole thing about white wine with white meat, red wine with red meat, that's totally bunk too then, right?
Absolutely. I'll do meals here at Napa Valley where I'll be pouring 4 red wines through a 4-course meal. So that includes a salad, a fish course, and dessert. And they'll all be dry red wines that I'll create pairings that work.
Fair enough. What kind of white wines do you serve with red meats then?
Well, the funny thing that you should ask, someone was talking about daring pairings the other day and with me, and one of my famous recipes is a prime rib and Chardonnay. So a rich, buttery Chardonnay with a fatty, rich piece of meat, and the key here is the sauce. It was a mushroom cheese sauce over the top.
Ooh, very good.
The sauce was the bridge. So you've got that the cheese, the buttery notes in the sauce that work with buttery notes in the wine, and the wine has enough weight to stand up with the weight of the food. So 2 things you're working with that I'm working with there is complementary flavors. I'm complementing the flavor of the wine, the buttery flavors with the cheese and the sauce, and then the weight. I'm complementing the weight of the meat and the dish itself with a weighty white wine. So Chardonnays are really rich, so rich wines, rich food.
I like that. Now, a question going back to the whole concept of asparagus and eggs and things that don't pair well. When you're looking to try and pair things with the unmentionables when it comes to food and wine pairing, is it all about the sauce, or can you actually take the things like the asparagus and the eggs to heart?
Well, when it comes to asparagus, I think more than anything you just need to be thinking about the brightness of your wine and acidity in your wine. I think you're trying to avoid asparagus more with tannic red wines. So it doesn't have to be the sauce with the asparagus. It's the decision on the wine you choose.
Okay. Well, obviously, there are probably 100 of different food and wine pairings or different food and wine myths we can come up with. But here is one that I stood by, and unfortunately, I will still stand by when I'm trying to pair out wine dinners. You find chefs that insist for the second course, they're going to do a salad. And invariably, the dressing is going to be balsamic vinegar. Is there any way to avoid doing a wine and balsamic vinegar pairing, or is there one way to make it superb?
As far as what dressing you use with the wine pairing?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, avoid the balsamic, and there's a product I use a lot here called verjus, which is the juice of unripened grapes. And right now, the grapes are still quite tart, and you can find verjus in a lot of specialty stores, and verjus is not as acidic as vinegar, so it doesn't react as much with the wine. So that's one way, substituting the vinegar.
So you definitely can support me in the fact that all these chefs that say there is a wine that will pair with balsamic vinegar are once again insane.
Absolutely, and it's just how you use and apply the balsamic vinegar, and you can bring balance. Adding a little honey to your balsamic vinaigrette will counteract that tartness and bring a little sweetness that will draw out the fruit of the wine. One thing you're trying to avoid is anything with a lot of acid in a wine that has a lot of fruit is going to take away the fruit. So if you have a nice, big, fruity red wine and you apply a dish that has acidity to it, you're going to take away all that fruit. So add some fruit to the salad.
There we go. So that way we can at least find a balance. Well, Richard, it is always fun to have you on the show. I promise we will be calling to make you come back. But thank you for helping me get rid of some of these food and wine myths and
Always
to actually educate our public.
Always a pleasure. Please, at any time. We're just enjoying ourselves here in Napa Valley, creating great pairings.
I would expect nothing less from you. Well, we will definitely check back in with you this year and see how your fall planning is going.